Please welcome Logan Aguirre from 417 Magazine.
Thank you. In 2021, we lost half of our staff. Has anyone here experienced 50% turnover? We're a really small company, so you can imagine the disruption, the emotion, and the stress of those of us still in the boat trying to navigate. And then trying to find and hire and train and rebuild the culture. Interestingly, of the 12 people that left that year, only 2 left to stay in our market. The rest scattered around the country, pursuing their dream to finally live in New York City or the mountains, or just move closer to home. I get it. I bounced around a lot when I first graduated from Mizzou. My dream was to live in New York City, so off I went. Eventually moved to St. Louis, working in marketing and public relations, until I had the opportunity to join my family's business, a publishing company they had rescued from the brink of going out of business just a few years earlier in Springfield, Missouri. I've been there 16 years, the past 2 as the sole owner. So a little bit about our business. We're a lifestyle publishing company in Southwest Missouri. Our area code is 417. That's where we get the name. When my parents first bought it, it was just the monthly 417 magazine. We've since grown it to publish 30 titles a year. Our business magazine, a home magazine. We do magazines for other people, other businesses, nonprofits, chambers, CVBs that want to tell their story in a better way. We have websites, social media, e-newsletters, half a dozen high-impact events a year. It's a really exciting place to work. When I first joined the business, it was really small, and it had that startup vibe. Eventually, that startup vibe turned into chaos as we grew. And once we got a handle on the chaos and started to scale, I started talking with my parents about a succession plan. I went to journalism school because it only required 1 math class. So the thought of running a business was really scary to me. I could not get my head around the financial piece. Luckily, we're in the backyard of the great game of business, so it was something that was really familiar to me, and I was able to introduce it to our company 4 years ago. My why for playing the game is multiplying the brain power. We have so many smart and talented people. I want to crowdsource and use all of their brains to figure out the best way to run the business. So back to 2021, navigating a pandemic, being 1 year in as an owner, and losing half the people. It was really good times, right? We all remember. So when we set out for our critical number for this year, the conversation immediately went to retention. And I challenged our team to just look a little deeper and think of something other than retention. When we look at even this year, the people that have left, 2 have left to stay home with babies, and 1 because of a death in her family that took an emotional toll. I don't want to be putting that up on a scoreboard and feeling like we're losing because people are making choices that are best for their families. So we started looking at more data. What else could we look at? We looked at exit interviews, the feedback we had gotten from those. We looked at our Great Game survey results. We looked at culture conversations, which is an internal system we have. And more than anything, it came around this idea of busy and feeling overworked and burnt out. So we thought, okay, then let's look at overtime hours. That could be something we could impact. We had hardly paid out any overtime. This was critical. They're burnt out, but they're not overworked. So how do you impact a feeling when you play the great game of business? As a startup, we did everything based on gut feelings. Before the game, all of the decisions were just based on kind of how we felt and what we thought might happen, if we felt good about it or not. We didn't have the data. But now we have the data, so what can it tell us? We finally looked at PTO usage. It was very low. And this showed us that people felt like they couldn't take the time they had earned because who would do the work if they weren't there? And then if they're never taking the time to step away, they're totally overwhelmed, they're burnt out, they're not bringing their best, and they're moving on. So we thought, could we make PTO usage our critical number? And we thought, well, we make the rules, so I guess we can do that if we want. And here's our critical number for 2022, to go from 75% to 100% PTO usage, to create a work balance where our efforts are rewarded by profit and personal margin. In order to do this, we really had to get ourselves organized. One of our biggest drivers was prioritization, and really helping our team understand how to prioritize their lives inside and outside the building. The 2/3 exercise yesterday really spoke to me because that's honestly what we started with, personal margin. You guys have probably seen the rocks, pebbles, sand exercise before, and we went through this with our team. We had all of them, we handed them rocks, and we said, write your five most important things in your life on these rocks and put them in first. And then the pebbles, the things that you have to do, but they're not the most important things, put those in next. And then the sand, the thing that just wastes time or don't bring you energy, but that often you spend the most amount of time on, fill that in last. Because if you start with the sand, then you can't ever put your rocks and pebbles in. And often we're feeling overwhelmed and stressed out because of how we choose to spend our time outside of the office. We're watching Netflix, we're scrolling, doom scrolling social media. We're not doing things that bring us joy. So first we had to talk about personal margin, and everybody has these at their desk. It's a daily reminder of what's important outside of the walls. And then we went in by department, and we did rocks, pebbles, sand by department, and we had some great insights. Sometimes the sand should have been a rock, but we had made it way too hard to do. We hadn't figured out the best way to do it. And sometimes the rocks, the things we were spending the most amount of time on, weren't really that important. So we were able to really get clear on what we are and aren't going to do, because we were committed to taking the time but not adding to head count. So we have these up at everybody's department area. And finally, we made these fun little notepads, and everybody uses these every day to prioritize their day. What's your biggest rock? What are the pebbles? What's the sand that you can delegate or let go? As a team, it forced even more awesome things to happen. Succession planning. If your boss is going to be gone on PTO for a week, the team's going to need to step up and make some decisions. We've seen some awesome examples of young junior people on our team not bothering their boss when they're gone, making some awesome calls, and keeping the train moving. Leadership development. We have to give those people the time away and protect those boundaries. So you just have to let them go, and you have to figure it out while they're gone. We cannot be bothering them when they're on their time off. Prioritizing, you now can go to your boss and say, here's my list today. Tell me what things I can let go, not do, how I can do it better. I need you to help me because I'm going to be gone on Friday. Efficiency and automation. How can we do things faster, smarter, better, and what can we just stop doing altogether? These conversations are happening all the time. Each week in our huddle, we celebrate with our traveling passport. I have a copy of it here if you guys want to see it. But if you've taken PTO in the last week, we ask you to share what you did. We've had stories about new babies, engagements, 75-degree February days where someone went and golfed, trips to wine country, trips to New York City, but organizing your pantry or getting a massage or reading a book, any moment spent that you're getting paid to do something that brings you joy, we celebrate every single week. So let's see how we've been doing so far. Year to date, our PTO usage is up 107%. Our PTO used, we're at 51%. We're not doing very good there. We have put in a kicker. We're trying to get everybody to get their time booked for the rest of the year because we want to hit that number. So we're hoping after August, we'll have some more good news to share, since that was another big month for summer vacations. We've found 1,179 hours of efficiencies and saved 344 hours through automation. Yesterday, Megan from my team added up those bottom two numbers, and she said that's 75% of a full-time person. So it's really helped us to not add to headcount and have more time away. But not everything can be reflected in a spreadsheet, so I asked some people on my team, what has this meant to you? And first, I wanted to hear from them maybe their perception of PTO usage before we made it our critical number. Megan says, as a company, we've never discouraged using PTO, but as a team of achievers, I think we all personally put guilt around taking time away from work. Elizabeth said, I always felt guilty about going on vacation or taking time off to move or get organized. Our editor, Katie, said, I've always wanted to take a 2-week vacation with my family to explore in an RV, but I never felt like I could or should take that much time off at once. And our creative director said, in most places, there's always been some unspoken judgment or uncertainty around using all of your PTO for the year. So then I asked about the mind shift, since we've made this our critical number. And Elizabeth said, I've realized I've earned it. It's so simple. They have earned this time. We have to encourage them to take it. Katie took the 2-week road trip, the RV trip. She totally unplugged. She said, when I got back, I felt inspired and ready to jump back in. I appreciate that I was encouraged to do this with my family. Sarah said, I feel like this critical number has freed us from that weirdness and given employees a lot of autonomy to use our time as we want and need. People really want the work-life balance. They want to be a good employee and have the time to recharge and take care of themselves. This critical number can show other companies it's possible and we can still be a successful business. Megan said, having this as the critical number has given me that permission to take the time, even if it isn't easy or convenient to do so. The headline is that the burnout is down, the profits are up, and we have higher margin in all the ways. But I know you guys are wondering about the money because we always want to know. It's about the people, but it's about the money. And the good news, we're up 275% above plan right now. Actually, our first quarter was our greatest of all time quarter. It was the goat quarter. And we actually brought in baby goats for our huddle when we announced that. So if you ever need a goat gram, look it up. They're a big hit. Our editor said it best, go figure. She said, this critical number puts employees and their well-being first, while also encouraging process improvements that boost efficiency so we can take the time off while still producing a great magazine. I never want to live through that again with losing that many people at once. But anytime we're going through those really, really hard moments, it's when we have to figure out how to do things better. And we all know that we're only as healthy as our people. It's become crystal clear to us that your business is only as healthy as your people. So I just encourage you as you go into your critical number planning for next year, think a little deeper, look at things a little differently, maybe come up with a crazy idea, because right now, truly nothing is more critical than our people and their well-being. Thank you.